Bye-bye, Quran. Don't do that, Al-Bukhari. You're on the autistic side. Don't say that. If you don't know, come to the people of the reminder. You gave me 1643 that says, if you don't know, come to the people of the reminder. So you can't.
Yes, autism.
You kept
Pure
giving me
autism.
verses. Hey, stop.
No, your implication was that there are no other verses. So I find these verses where the Prophet ﷺ is supposed to ask, not the scripture, but to ask others, ask people of Ahlul Dhikr.
Ever seen someone try to solve a mystery by asking the wrong expert? That's basically Godlogic with the Quran and the Bible.
What is Muhammad supposed to use to judge the Quran in case he's doubting what the Quran's saying to him? He's supposed to use the Bible. He's supposed to use the previous scriptures to judge the Quran, to make sure he's all good, and to make sure that what he's receiving is indeed from God. So your Quran does use the previous scriptures as a standard for judging the Quran.
Godlogic says, the Quran tells Muhammad to ask the people of the book, therefore the Bible judges Islam. This is an equivalence fallacy. He assumes that asking someone automatically means accepting them as the authority. That logic does not work. If I ask a doctor about history, that does not make the doctor the judge of history. In the same way, if Muhammad is told to ask the people of the book, that does not mean their scripture is preserved, their religion is true, or their book has authority over Islam. Consulting is not the same as submitting authority. This verse came at a time when the Prophet was being mocked and accused of making things up. The response is essentially, this isn't new. People before you rejected prophets too. The people of the book already knew this pattern. Moses was rejected, Jesus was rejected, and prophets were always doubted. The point is reassurance, not verification. Early scholars like Ibn Kathir explain that the Prophet was never in doubt. The verse is directed at the audience, using historical knowledge the people of the book already had. It is specific, contextual, and not timeless. The very next verse, this destroys Godlogic's reading. Right after saying, ask the people of the book, Allah immediately says, so do not be among the doubters. This is critical. If Allah was telling the Prophet to verify Islam through the Bible or depend on Christian or Jewish authority, he would not immediately say, don't doubt anyway. The statement is rhetorical, and it is not about checking Islam against the Bible.
I'm just saying, if that's your standard of corruption, then I just want you to do this with me to the camera and wave bye-bye, Quran, because you have so many different textual manuscripts in your Quran. Hafs, Warsh, Al-Kasai, Khalaf, Kalun, Duri. You have so many textual variances in with your Qurans.
Godlogic claims that because Muslims have Hafs and Warsh readings, the Quran is corrupted like the Bible. This is another false equivalence. Quranic recitations share the same base text, the same meaning, and the same beliefs, and they were approved by the Prophet. Biblical textual variants involve different manuscripts, different meanings, and even contradictory beliefs, changed later by scribes. A clear example of real corruption is found in the earliest New Testament manuscripts, Codex Vaticanus and Codex Sinaiticus. They do not contain the adultery story in John. Let he without sin cast the first stone. That story appears more than 380 years later and was added by scribes. That is corruption. Hafs Warsh is pronunciation, not added or missing stories.
43, addressing the Jews, says, why do they come to you for judgment? Talking to Muhammad. Why do they come to you for judgment when they have the Torah in which Allah's judgments are in? Even still, they turn away. Let the people of the gospel judge by what Allah has revealed in it. And those who do not judge by what Allah has revealed in there, they are of the wrongdoers. They're the rebellious ones. So according to Allah, if I'm going to be a good Christian, I have to judge by my gospel. Whatever goes against the gospel, I have to judge it as false. I cannot deviate from it.
I beg your pardon?
Godlogic assumes that because Muhammad allowed Jews to judge by their book must be valid and authoritative. This assumption is historically and Quranically false. The incident being referenced is when Jewish leaders came to the Prophet with an adultery case, not because they trusted Islam, but because they were trying to escape the stoning punishment found in their own Torah and hoped for a lighter ruling. The Quran directly exposes this behavior when it says, why do they come to you for judgment while they have the Torah? in which is Allah's ruling. Quran 5:43. The Jews were concealing the stoning verse, and in the well-known report, a rabbi even covered the verse with his hand. The Prophet exposed the concealment and ordered them to apply their own law. This is the context for the statement, "Let the people of the gospel judge by what Allah has revealed in it." Quran 5:47. This was not praise or endorsement, but a rebuke. If they claimed to follow their scripture, they were being commanded to stop hiding it. This episode shows that their scripture was not being trusted as preserved, that verses were being concealed, and that the instruction was about legal administration in a pluralistic society, not theological approval. Allowing Jews to judge by their own law was political tolerance, not a declaration that their religion was true. All of this applied specifically, in Medina, to living Jewish and Christian communities under a particular political and legal arrangement. It was situational, legal, and temporary, not a universal rule for all times. It was not a declaration that Judaism or Christianity is true, and it was not a validation of the Bible or Gospel as preserved scriptures. Classical scholars such as Ibn Kathir explicitly explain that the command for the people of the Gospel to judge by what Allah revealed in it applied to the people of that time and context. It does not mean their scriptures override the Quran, nor does it mean those books remain preserved or authoritative forever. The ruling was contextual law, not eternal authority.
Another party of hadith and fiqh scholars said these changes took place during its interpretation and not during the process of its revelation. This is the view of Abi Abdullah Muhammad bin Ishmael al-Bukhari, who said in his hadith collection, no one can corrupt the text by removing any of Allah's words from his books, but they corrupted it by misinterpreting it. Don't do that, al-Bukhari. You're on the autistic side. Don't say that.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
That Islamic sources like Ibn Kathir and a narration from Ibn Abbas prove no one can corrupt or alter any word of Allah's books textually is based on a misreading of the quote itself. The actual statement in Ibn Kathir's Tafsir of Quran 3-78 reads, "They alter and add, although none among Allah's creation can remove the words of Allah from His books, they distort their apparent meanings." The negation specifically applies only to removal, total erasure of Allah's original words, while the same sentence explicitly acknowledges that people do alter and add. It then clarifies that the primary distortion is through misinterpreting meanings. Avery overstates the quote by turning a limited protection against complete removal into an absolute denial of any textual change, when the source itself concedes additions and alterations are possible, and focuses mainly on corruption of meaning. So, the evidence he cites does not support the strong claim of textual inerrancy for the previous scriptures. It actually undermines it.
You gave me chapter 21, verse 17, where it says, if you don't know, come to the people of the reminder. You gave me 1643 that says, if you don't know, come to the people of the reminder. So you can't.
Yes, autism.
You can't
Pure autism.
Hey, stop.
Avery, you can't be serious. The people in Mecca, who didn't believe in any prophet, were making fun of Prophet Muhammad. They said, "A messenger from God should be an angel, not a normal human like you." Allah answered them in Quran 16:43. "We never sent any messenger before you, except normal human men that we gave revelation to. So if you don't know this, just ask the people who have the earlier scriptures, the Jews and Christians. They will tell you that all the prophets before, like Moses and Jesus, were also normal humans, not angels." It's like Allah saying, go check your own history books, the Torah and Gospel that the Jews and Christians have. Even those books agree that every prophet was a human man. So Avery's big gotcha verse actually proves the opposite once you understand the simple context. The Quran is only pointing to leftover truths in the earlier books, not claiming the whole thing is unchanged and perfect. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe for more. We're about to hit 1,000 subscribers, so hit that subscribe button and help us get there.